Millicent Lillian Peg Entwistle was a British stage and screen actress. She began her stage career in 1925, appeared in several Broadway productions. She appeared only in one film, 13 Women, which released posthumously. She was born on February 5th of 1908 in Port Talbot, United Kingdom, died September 16, 1933 in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. She was married to Robert Keith from 1927 to 1929. She's buried at the Oak Hill Cemetery in Springfield, Ohio. And her other names is known as the Hollywood Sign Girl. Her movies was 13 Women, Parents with Robert Symes and Emily Symes. Now the police surmise that instead she made her way to the nearby southern slope of Mount Lee, to the foot of the Hollywood Lens sign, climbed a workman's ladder to the top of the H, and jumped. The cause of death was listed by the coroner as multiple fractures to her pelvis. This is a tragic, true story of Peg Entwistle, actress who jumped to her death from the Hollywood sign. It was a storyline in the new Netflix series Hollywood. The late starlet is finally getting the fame she deserved. Rising 45 feet over the hills of Los Angeles, the 9 white letters spelling Hollywood form one of the world's most recognizable cultural landmarks. 10 million visitors would crowd Griffith Park each year to catch a glimpse of the sign, and a must-see tourist attraction. But the aspiring star is hoping to make it big is something more than a remainder of the city's storied past and a hopeful glance toward the possibility of her own glittering future. But there's a dark side to the Hollywood sign as well. On the night of September 16, 1932, a young actress named Peg Entwistle left her uncle's home, walked into the nearby Hollywood sign, climbed a maintenance ladder to the top of the H, and jumped to her death. She was just 24 years old. One of the tragic stories is a major plot point of the new Ryan Murphy-produced Netflix series Hollywood, which offers a revisionist took on town's history, showing aspiring actors and filmmakers trying to make it big in the post-World War II film era. In the series, Entwistle's suicide becomes the inspiration for a screenplay written by a Hollywood outsider who can identify with the struggles to break into show business. Now, Peg Entwistle, and why did her life and career come to such an abrupt, dark end? The original Hollywood sign, the land part of the sign, was removed in the 1940s. The Hollywood sign, which originally read Hollywood Land, was erected in 1923 as a real estate advertisement for a growing area. In those early days, the entire sign was studded with 4,000 light bulbs and would flash in 3 segments: Hollywood Land, though the later segment was ultimately removed in 1949. By 1932, the year of Entwistle's death, the silent film era had ended and the talkies ruled the day. The studio system was in the prime, dominated by the Big Five studios: 20th Century Fox, RKO Pictures, Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. And Shanghai Express, starring one of the greatest actresses of the era, Marlene Dietrich, was the year's highest-grossing film. Peg. Now, like so many others, Entwistle came to Hollywood looking to become a star like Dietrich. She was born Millicent Lillian Entwistle on February 5, 1908, in Wales. Unclear what happened to her mother, according to the only complete biography on entrance written by James Dirk Jr. Her parents divorced when she was 2, though it was often falsely been claimed that her mother died. By 1912, Entwistle immigrated to America with her father Robert, and they eventually settled in New York. Robert, a theater stage manager, soon remarried and had 2 sons. A young Betty Davis reported that she'd be just like Entwistle after seeing her act. Sadly, tragedy seemed to follow family Robert's second wife died in 1921, and just 1 year later, Robert died after being struck by a car on Park Avenue and East 72nd Street. 14 years old, Peg and her two younger brothers were taken in by their Uncle Harold. Despite the personal tragedies of her childhood, Entwistle began pursuing a stage career at 17. By 1925, she appeared in several Broadway productions. A young Betty Davis reportedly said she wanted to just like Entwistle after seeing her in the act Wild Duck. After a year later, Entwistle was accepted into the prestigious New York Theater Guild. But Entwistle married a fellow actor, Robert Lee Keith, in 1927. The New York Times wedding announcement lists a number of theater credits, including a small part in Hamlet with Walter Hamilton, the man from Toronto, the Hometowners, and Rolling Tommy at the Headland Theater. Sadly, the marriage didn't last long. Keith had a previous wife and son, unbeknownst to Entwistle, and the couple divorced by 1929. By 1931, the Depression had hit hard and played close almost as soon as they opened. Entwistle abandoned New York and headed west to Los Angeles, where she moved in with another Uncle Charles, hoping to pursue a film career instead. But with so many beauties flocking to Hollywood's golden age, all of them seeking to be the next thing, Entwistle struggled to stand out and to find roles. By summer of 1932, she completed the first big part in the thriller 13 Women, but her performance was cut from the final movie, and the film, which debuted only 1 month later after her death, would go to so poorly received. On the night of September 16th, she left her uncle's bungalow on Beechwood Drive, telling him she was going to meet some friends at a nearby drugstore, hiked the canyon, and climbed up to the sign. Found a jacket and a purse scattered on the mountain below the sign. Inside the purse was a suicide note which read, "I am afraid I am a coward. I am sorry for everything. If I've done nothing this long time ago, it would have saved a lot of pain. P.E." The unidentified hiker looked 100 feet down the mountain, saw a body, and called the police. Entwistle's uncle later identified the remains, and the cause of death was a suicide.